Wonderful things.
I gotta hit record. All right, I think it's good. Let's go to you. Oh, you know what? I think the soundboard's gonna work actually. So I don't know if you need to do that. All right, let me. I don't want to mess with that.
The Comic Shop. 112 East Bridge Street.
The
Comic Shop.
All right. Evan, is it working?
Bass, treble and bass.
We're good. All right, let's. Should we? All right, let's do the intro again.
You can
too,
hear
shall
everything. You can see everything. We control the audio and the visual.
we? Why don't we introduce ourselves again?
Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Oswego Comic Shop Does a Podcast. I'm Aaron Zeeley, a.k.a. Pens and Pedals.
I'm Lucas Brewer.
And I am Evan Coy, trying to figure out this technical nonsense.
You figured it out, though.
I don't know. Hopefully.
I think
now.
so. Hopefully, my ma is in here soon. She'll give us some input. But yeah, why don't we kick it off with Evil Dead 2? Talk about that.
Oh yeah, Evil Dead 2. That's a
For a
movie.
bit.
That's a popular
That
movie.
is a very popular horror movie. What did you think? How many times have you seen it?
I've probably seen it maybe around 5 times.
5. I think this was my second viewing, maybe my third. And it's interesting too, because each time I watch it, I start to enjoy it more and more. I don't know why that is. It's just, I don't know. It's strange. Each time I watch it, I'm like, oh my god, this.
Well, there
just
are
gets
things to
better and
look
better.
forward to, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you
it's-
kind of know what's coming, and yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's an exciting film in some ways. It's fast paced, which is good.
Yeah.
It's short, you know,
Yep.
not too short, but it's you never feel like it's run its course, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's
And
yeah.
it's funny. It's funny.
Yes, entertaining. Entertaining
It's
is the key word.
entertaining. You know.
All right,
it's-
we're going to see if the third camera thing works here.
all right.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
You're way
Oh,
out.
we're washed out. I'm going to
Maximum-
go shut the door.
shut the
Maximum
door
Evan.
there. Because
I think that's how we should always do the show, like with Lucas and I very small, and then Evan is like Galactus.
yeah. All right.
All right, let's come back to that now. Let's see how that. Oh, it still looks washed out. But
Yeah.
hey, this is the best we can do right now.
That's all right.
Lucas and I were talking about
We were
the
talking.
camera being a character.
Oh,
in the
definitely.
Film. Like, what do you think
Yeah.
about the camera being?
Because it's almost like Evan said, it's almost its own character
I
in
think
its own right.
I think that's almost as much of a signature of Sam Raimi as the slapstick and the
Totally. Yeah.
and the horror and actually some kind of grounded drama at times with this stuff, but definitely the melodrama is kind of more his piece here. Yeah, but the camera work, yeah, definitely
It's-
one of the main things.
The camera work is insane. I feel like
It's all
just
over the
all
place.
Over the,
It's
yeah,
all over
over
the
the
place. And I think it helps the movie. In some
definitely.
ways, for sure.
The scene where the force of nature or whatever is coming through the cabin into the cabin and
After
like
Ash?
opens the first
Yeah,
door,
yeah.
knocks the second door flat, and then
Yeah.
it explodes through the third door. It's just such a cool thing. And it also makes me think, how big is this cabin? Because this cabin outside looks like it's 10 by
Right,
10.
yeah.
And there are 500 rooms and a
I know,
basement
I
and
know.
like all sorts. It's like
Yeah.
a whole haunted mansion, but really it's a little cabin.
I think I watched a YouTube video a bit about the production of Evil Dead 2.
I did last night, I think. Maybe the other night.
So I think the exterior may have been on location, but the interior was on a soundstage that was made inside a gymnasium.
Yeah, it was
Really?
a junior high gymnasium for the second one. And I
Yep.
think for the first one,
They had to build the cabin.
Yeah.
The cabin was destroyed when they got
and
there.
it was in some place in like Tennessee, and it was
Yeah.
like in the summer, and it was like, from my understanding, it just like the shoot went on for months after it was supposed to, and it was
For the
brutal.
first one or the second
The
one?
I
first
believe
one.
for the first one, yeah.
And they had to, like the principal actors were gone for reshoots, so they had to do what he calls fake Shemps.
right, yeah,
Because he's the
yeah.
Three Stooges
Yep.
aficionado. So he would have stand-ins be those characters.
Yeah, he would have like the producers and whoever else
Yeah.
be those characters. Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I love that kind of craftiness to just get it done.
I just like especially the first one. I know we're talking about the second,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's, as someone who studies, cinema,
Mhm.
it's kind of,
You study?
no, not really.
You
I
watch-
thought you watch YouTube videos.
Pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I do. But, it's so cool to think that, he was my age, I'm pretty sure. He was 21, 22.
Yeah.
They were young.
They were young.
like right out of high school
Yeah.
type thing.
Yep.
And they're like, let's go make a freaking film.
Yeah.
And, Sam Raimi and I believe his brother, Ted,
Ted.
I think they...
Ted, who plays the demon-possessed woman, the mother in
In
the
Evil
basement.
Dead 2.
Yes,
Yes.
is Ted Raimi.
I want to say Bernadette, but that's wrong. Henrietta?
Henrietta.
Henrietta.
That sounds right.
Um,
Apparently, he would just sweat like a pig in that costume,
yeah.
and that's what Sam.
Oh, I
Sam
bet.
liked to torture him. Apparently, with that.
Well,
that
he,
was
he
just-
God.
tortured Bruce Campbell too.
oh, yeah.
I mean, but yeah, the camera work very signature. Just kind of spiraling, zooming up, zooming down, like anywhere you can, any which way you can get a camera to move.
It actually. I always think about when like taking it back to comics, like
Yeah.
when Aaron, when you and I draw,
Yeah,
my camera is so static. It's just staring right at the figure, and then
Right.
maybe it pans out a little bit, but it's staring at the figure.
Right.
Watching that was like, if I'm going to create a parallel, it's like a Bill Sienkiewicz with like a Moon Knight, where it just every page is like spiraling,
Oh,
weird,
yeah.
like every single composition you could possibly imagine Sam Raimi is doing on camera. I feel like.
a Bill Sienkiewicz
Yeah,
Sam
for
Raimi
sure.
comparison. That's
Do you like that one? I'm trying.
that is interesting. Yeah, just in terms of composition and taking chances, especially early I watched the first few minutes. I couldn't get through all of the first Evil Dead, but I get the sense that like that was like very much like a serious
Yeah.
kind of horror movie.
That's what, I mean, that's
Like,
what they were trying
Is
to
there?
do.
I haven't seen that in so long. So that was
Yeah.
a more straight up.
Yeah,
That's more straight up. I mean, it's not scary, but that's kind of what they were trying to do. And in the second, I think, Sam Raimi just kind of embraces the kind of wackiness of this world he's built.
So going
Yeah.
back to what you were saying about Sam Raimi as a kid, or as a.
Oh, geez.
Oh man, we are having all sorts of technical
I think we're
snafus
still
today.
live, though.
we're
but-
dropping all the frames. Go ahead.
Going back to what you were saying about him being a kid, did you know anything about like how they got into film or anything like?
I think they were
yeah.
I think they were buddies and they had always made films together growing up.
Yeah.
And it was all like Super 8 stuff. That
Yeah,
they
I
shot?
imagine so.
Which what is Super 8? Like in
That's-
comparison to like 35. Like I really
just
don't know.
a
film.
smaller
Yeah, it's just smaller.
film.
Yeah, camera. More affordable.
Okay.
Back in the day, at least. Now.
Now it's probably very expensive to do Super 8.
It's probably just... I mean, I can't imagine anyone's making a film on a Super 8 camera.
Yeah.
It's just... the quality would be bad. Actually, and I think for Evil Dead 2, they shot on a 16 millimeter, or maybe it's a 15 millimeter, and then when they distributed it, they bumped it up to like 30.
Yes, that's right.
And-
35?
35, yeah.
35?
And it made it almost look more indie. Because the second film had a budget, unlike the first, where they were just like, yeah, let's go out in the
woods.
and shoot.
Yeah, they had a
And,
full crew and professional cast.
Right,
and crew,
yeah, yeah.
As
Yep.
opposed to everybody wearing multiple hats on the first ride there. Evil
Yeah.
Dead 1.
And also, for the first film, they financed it by just going to small businesses
Yeah.
and just asking, hey, do you want to invest in this film we're making? Around this area or whatever. And that's how they funded the first film.
Yeah.
They're kind of pointing to the Halloween movie being like, look, there's this kind of movie has a
Right.
fan base. If you invest in us, you can make your money back and,
Right.
and possibly more.
What year was Halloween? 78?
78, yeah.
And then what year was Evil Dead 2? 80, 81?
I think 2 was 87.
Okay.
I think it was
one
later in the
one
80s.
was
1 was 81.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe
So Evil Dead 1 was not too far after Halloween. So you could point at these B movies that would travel and make money at drive-ins and theaters and stuff like that. So as a viable
Texas
business.
Chainsaw Massacre was another one.
Yes.
What year
That-
was that, you think?
That was, oh gosh.
77 maybe?
I think it came out
So like the
before
B
Halloween.
slasher movies, were those like a product of the late 70s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween really kicked it off.
Okay.
Yes.
That was the one that kind of, that's why we have Friday the 13th.
Okay, I
Nightmare on
didn't-
Elm Street.
I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, Halloween was like the one that I don't know if it's the most successful, but I think it had the smallest budget
Mhm.
and made the most profit. And so, I expect like Sam Raimi, he was definitely inspired to do a indie horror film because of Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974.
Oh.
So it came out before Halloween.
So Toby Hooper's doing some scary movies a little bit earlier than that, but not exactly a slasher per se.
No, it's not. I wouldn't say it's. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a slasher.
We're like survival horror, possibly.
I guess it's more like exploitive.
Yes,
like,
I think so.
Like torture porn at some points. Not like I wouldn't say it's like Saw, but I think definitely back then. Like
for
it was a
back then.
huge. I just watched a video on that actually last night too. Where
Have you seen it?
I think I know I've seen some of it. I don't know if I finished it. I think I have. I'm pretty sure I finished it. But I know I watched at least half of it, and it's like the controversy surrounding that film when that kicked off, crazy. It was insane.
I really liked Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one.
Yeah.
It just creates such a great tone and makes you feel uneasy.
It does. It makes you feel so uncomfortable, and it almost is like we're like going through what the characters are going through, and I think it's because of the camera work in that film too.
Yeah. The dinner scene.
Yeah.
The camera work in that.
It feels like you're there, and you're just like, oh,
That whole dinner scene feels very much like a comic book to me. Have you seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Again, a movie I haven't seen, and like I said, watching Evil Dead 2, I think the last time I probably saw it was maybe a little out after college, maybe my mid-20s, 15 years ago. Not that I'm 40, but it's been a long time. So actually rewatching Evil Dead, it was fun to I totally forgot about that. Like I totally forgot about all the trees attacking the house at the end, and things like that. So explain the table or the dinner scene here in Texas Chainsaw for
iconic scene.
So this woman has been taken captive essentially by this family of cannibals in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she's been tied to a chair, and they're all, I think they're eating people.
Oh
right? Right. And they're like feeding their grandpa, who's like very, very old. At times it's unclear as to whether he's alive or dead.
Yeah.
But the camera is just like zooming around, and they're all acting very, very erratic and very disturbed, I think would probably be the right word for that. But great super close ups of her eyes and stuff. Like
it's bad. It's brutal. It's brutal.
The acting in this is great for the effect of what they're achieving.
Yeah. And from what I understand, like especially the dinner scene, I think it was like an 18-hour shoot, just the dinner scene, and like it was super hot. They were in Texas. I think they shot in Texas.
I think they did. Yeah.
And it was the summer, and it was like 100 degrees, and it was just brutal from what I hear. The shooting, and that's why a lot of the actors, because they hated Toby
Hooper.
They hated him after, because it was not good conditions.
Yeah, well, a lot of those movies that don't have much of a budget, so like
right. I mean, nowadays, like if you put your actors through that, you'll
get sued.
You'll get sued.
Never work again.
Right.
But I mean, maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a contender to watch for a future thing. I feel like I'm swerving too hard away from Evil Dead 2. But so as I was watching it, one thing I noticed about it, it's definitely entertaining. But when Ash goes evil and he kind of like disappears for a little while, and the protagonist is it the daughter of
the daughter? Yeah.
She becomes the protagonist for a little bit against the Demonites, or is that what they're called? Demonites?
Something like that.
They're
Deadites.
There we go. Deadites. It's less interesting to me when Ash is not there.
Again, Lucas and I were talking about this. He's so overacts. He's so expressive. He's so over the top that
it's
it
amazing.
But it also is just really
it
fun.
works.
But he's the perfect complement to that camera work
100%.
too, because that camera work is so over the top and so visceral and so dramatic, and his acting mimics that. Like even when they did the little claymation thing of him like when the bridge was gone and he's like throwing his arms up.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where I can forgive the quality of the effect if the composition and the moment works, right? So they use the rear projection to show like time passing,
right?
And that one scene where it's just like it's a super time lapse, but it's behind him. Yeah, that effect maybe doesn't look like super sharp, like it's in a Michael Bay Transformers movie or something like that, but it works for the effect, and it achieved the look that he wanted, even though it might have been a little rough around the edges. That's the stuff that I like, where the imagination and drive is bigger than the budget.
I agree. Yeah.
Hi, Cecilia. How are you?
Who's Cecilia?
I don't know. She's in the chat. No, it's one of our regulars, Cecilia.
I don't know Cecilia.
Maybe you haven't met her.
I don't think I have.
How much fake blood do you think they used in that movie?
Oh my gosh, a swimming pool full of it.
A shit ton.
And that's a technical term.
It is a shit ton, I believe, is the technical term.
Yes.
Hey, let's take it over to some horror comics. We're
Okay.
talking a little horror movies. Let's talk a little horror
Yeah.
comics.
Why don't we switch?
You want to switch up the cam?
Yeah. Do the dot cam.
Look at this
Yeah.
baby right here.
Talking about something is killing the children here.
You might have to adjust the document camera because we were fooling around with that earlier.
There we
Everything
go.
got-
That looks
everything
alright.
got goofed up.
Something's Killing the Children by James Tinian
Yeah,
the Fourth,
dumbheads.
Werther de la Dera, and Miquel Muerto. I'm probably butchering all those names, but
Have you read this?
I have. I've read
I love it.
volume 1 and 2. I know there's more.
I
But,
think issue 20 maybe just came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere
I
along
think
there.
last
but
week.
Yeah.
And she said she's met me. The Cecilia chick. I don't know who that is. Who is it?
She's
Which
literally
Cecilia, her boyfriend's Mike. They're in here once or twice a week. You know her.
Oh, yes.
Mike Kelly, who helped
yeah,
with the
yeah,
event,
yeah.
And you okay? So
Is
Mike,
he the one that got the sunburn really bad?
I don't know. He was helping with pizza during our
Right.
last event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
he
yeah,
worked
I know
he
who
worked
that
for
is.
Comic Book Day. Super nice guy.
Yeah, he got a sunburn really bad that day when you weren't here.
Oh, good. For
Yeah, and they put up with listening to me talk about comics and my own comics.
So what is
on a-
Something
on a
Killing
few
the Children
occasions.
about? I know you've both read it. I have not read Something is Killing the Children. I know the premise, but like if you
Well,
want to go,
Evan-
or actually Aaron, if you want, or Lucas, if you want to go through
Well,
it.
the thing is, something's killing the children.
But what?
A monster.
A monster of some kind, and there's this organization that is sent out to control the killing of the children by the monsters.
So Lucas,
Right.
what makes this a good book?
I really love the artwork,
Oh yeah,
and I like the world it sets up. The main character
it's great.
is great. I can't
Wow,
remember her
is
name.
her
right
name
now.
like it's like Erica or something?
It might be Erica.
Erica Slaughter.
Yes. Great
There's a
name.
free Comic Book Day comic, House of Slaughter.
House of Slaughter.
Yes.
Yep. Which is like a spinoff now, I think.
Is it? That would
Yeah,
be cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so she's sent to this town where she has to try and kill this monster.
Which
and
is killing
there's
the
like
children.
this whole society of monster killers or whatever. And it's just super interesting the world they set up, and the writing's really good. It's pretty graphic too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which is no surprise there. If the title
some
something
swearing
killing
there.
the children, right?
There was another trade I wanted to pull tonight to look at, but I flipped through it and I was like, nope, we can't do this one because every other page there's just too much.
Too much
So-
nudity. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this book just keeps on going. Like it gets you interested in the characters,
Yeah.
and it just
And you-
it's got action and mystery, and it's a page turner.
It's I guess kind of like Stranger Things in a sense, but less.
But better.
You think it's better?
Season 1 was the only season I was like, wow, that was a really good season. There's been moments of the other seasons, like the ice cream shop
Sure. Okay.
was fun, but
I love Stranger Things. I think it's all amazing.
So James Tinian is also the writer, or was the writer on Batman,
Batman. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then this is kind of his labor of love project, which
I believe
I
so,
think
yeah.
Aaron and I sometimes talk about. Like what was Carmen was Guillaume Demarche,
yeah,
and now he's on Joker, and it's interesting like seeing like what your passion project is versus maybe what your paycheck is.
Sure.
And then how like we were talking about earlier how he went around and tried to like at the same time this book was coming out he was doing his work on Batman and like trying to promote Punchline was the new
Punchline,
villain,
right.
and then how he was trying to promote this book, and it was just a very interesting thing like working in the corporate world versus if you had control of things how you would do it yourself.
Right.
mm-hmm.
It's interesting too because I believe my Professor Rage, Michael Rage, he's a comic book writer. He's talked about how, if you want to make indie comics, you kind of have to work for Marvel or DC to kind of make a name for yourself almost, and then you can do your own thing, and that way you have a name.
Which is true, but I also think about like didn't Hickman start writing like image stuff? It was Manhattan Projects. It was
Nightly News.
Nightly News. Like I feel like that was something before
Before he got
I
pulled
guess
into the
before
mainstream
all of a
stuff.
sudden Hickman was doing Fantastic Four and Avengers.
Right.
And
I
things
guess
like
Robert Kirkman maybe would be another example.
that. Kirkman, same thing.
Because I think he went
Battle Pope.
Battle Pope.
Battle Pope.
His greatest work ever. I mean,
He did do
Walking
it.
Dead would. I mean, that was his first big thing, right?
I remember Kirkman. This is like, Lucas, this is before you were born. This is like 1997, 1998 on the Savage Dragon message board, and Kirkman would pitch Larson ideas. And one of them was a pro wrestling comic where all the pro wrestling characters were real. And he later worked a bunch of those characters into capes, but which was kind of a short-lived thing that lived within the Image or Invincible universe, but whatever. But like, yeah, Kirkman got to start there. Then he went to Marvel, and then he decided to go back to Image when he became an Image partner.
Now he like owns it pretty
Yeah,
much.
well, he's a partner.
He's a partner. He's said in the past he will not work for another publisher again.
Why would he?
I mean,
Yeah, I can't blame him.
well, I would think, again, every once in a while you want to go back and maybe play in someone else's sandbox again.
I guess.
I don't know.
I think it
Aaron,
just depends.
well, Aaron, you're just independent through and through.
Yeah,
So.
I think it would depend.
They would have to offer me something absolutely, and I'm a nobody.
Machine Man.
They would have to give me Machine Man. Oh man, that's a dream project. I'm not even sure what my pitch for Machine Man would be, but I would just love it. Or Doctor Strange would be another dream pitch.
Doctor Strange, huh?
It would be Doctor Strange House Calls.
Yes, we've talked about this, like an anthology series where every issue is like a different.
Just little stories. The problem is the stakes get too big. Just make little character moments. Like
Yeah, I guess.
So Lucas, you won't know this because these all came out before you were born, but there used to be a series called X-Men Classics, and it was or Classic X-Men, and it would have a backup story in them that would just be little character moments that would be drawn by John Bolton and written by Chris Claremont, one of the long running writers of X-Men. It would just be, Colossus like having a crush on this ballerina and then like saving her life, but then it's revealed to her that he is a mutant, and so she rejects him basically on that premise, and it's just like him struggling with that like little thing. But that's the whole story.
Right.
That's the whole story. Magneto doesn't come in, and he's like, you know what? How about I eat nukes again? Appoint nukes of the world again? What do you guys think? Is that cool? You guys like the nukes? It's the character, and so I would do stuff like that where Doctor Strange would essentially meet different little demons and
I think that's an
and
interesting
other
idea,
things
I
like
really
that.
do.
And
Why don't you create your own character?
exactly. Okay, that's the point I was getting back to. Why not just do this with my own Doctor Strange analog?
Right. Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
The Strange Doctor.
No.
There you go.
Or my wife came up with a great Doctor Strange alternative. He lives in a garbage can, and he lives on bark chips. And because he's in the garbage can, I think he lives in Arizona or something, so the garbage is metal, so it gets very hot.
Right, yeah.
And so he actually is horribly burnt.
Poor
This
guy.
version of Doctor Strange eats bark chips and lives in the garbage can.
Living his
So
best
Lucas,
life.
Something is Killing the Children.
Yes.
There's talk about it being a TV series.
Yeah, I think it's.
I was actually trying to find more information about it and I couldn't. But
I
like
believe
what
it's in the works. Yeah.
what do you think makes like Aaron's working on his properties and things like that. You're a media guy. You're into this type of stuff. What do you think translates from the comic to TV? What do you think would make a good TV series? What would you pull from this that would be?
Well, I would definitely say, have like Netflix do it, or HBO. Not don't have like where it's gonna be like 24 episodes a season, where it's just stretched out. We see that with like The Flash and stuff like that, and it's not good.
Don't dilute it.
Don't dilute it. Exactly. And so from this, I would definitely keep the main character. What was her name? Erica, right?
Erica Slaughter.
Yep. And keep the mystery, and then almost do like in Jaws, they don't reveal the shark too much.
Yes.
And it makes it scarier. And so I would say do a similar thing with that, and just don't show the monster, which I don't believe they do a whole lot until like, he's like about to kill someone or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I would say you do something like that, and that way, budget wise, it's not going to be as expensive.
Who would you pick
Ooh.
to direct this TV series?
Oh,
To direct
I
it?
don't know.
I'm so out of my depth on directors.
It doesn't have to be a current director. Let's say you guys know cinema, you guys know film. Like, what's somebody you would want to attach to this project?
David Fincher.
David Fincher's all right. I mean, he's got great movies. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if this would be his thing. I would say the guys. I don't know.
Who's got a sense of whimsy? Because there's a bit of whimsy in the visuals of this too.
Maybe have Sam Raimi do it.
Say it. I mean, you can't go wrong with Sam Raimi. He's actually doing the new Doctor Strange movie.
He is. I can't wait for that.
That's gonna be
I don't know though,
awesome.
because it's different. Because usually, once you're a movie director, you're not going to go to TV and direct.
Taika Waititi.
He produces though.
No, he still directs episodes now and again.
Every
he,
now
he
and
did
then,
a
I
Mandalorian
guess.
episode, didn't he?
Wait,
He
who was
did.
that?
He actually did. Yes.
Who's that?
Who's
You
Taika
don't know who
Waititi?
Taika Waititi is?
I don't know. I don't watch
Thor,
them.
Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
The Suicide. No, he didn't. That's
No, he
James
didn't do
Gunn.
that. That's James Gunn. Who's also
He's doing Love and Thunder. He did The Hunt for the Wildebeest.
it's Hunt for the Wilder People.
Wilder People. There we go. And
What We Do in the Shadows.
yes,
which is
that's-
like one of my favorite comedies ever.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that you have not seen it.
Oh, I've seen it. It was great.
I'm sure you have.
But he was in the Suicide Squad. He played Ratcatcher 1.
He did, yes. Which he had like 2 minutes of screen time.
But it was like
it was it was a nice surprise seeing him in there.
But that was like
I
the-
love Taika Waititi.
That was the
so.
most touching part of that whole film.
It really was.
I-
It really and like I think James Gunn is, he has his not so great moments in films and whatnot. I think that his writing's not all there, but I think it was spot on for that. I think he really
he does
nailed
some
it.
great stuff where he like makes the part of the movie where like you could cry from like the emotional payoff and like what you're seeing and the
Right.
relatability, but he like wraps it in like the grossest, weirdest scene. You're like, oh, I feel for this like father-daughter relationship, but
It's about rats.
tons
yeah.
and tons of rats just
It's-
climbing
it's-
everywhere.
He's kind of good with some, like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
There's some emotional scenes in there.
Oh, definitely. That's what's at the
Um,
core of all of his movies, I think.
I don't know about all of his movies.
To wrap maybe not all, but to wrap the emotional core in the movie in just weird pulp stuff.
Oh, Cecilia said What We Do in the Shadows. Yes, it's amazing. I love it. Should I?
Speaking of weird pulp stuff.
Yeah, let's move over to a different comic. Hold on, we're gonna play a bumper real quick.
Ooh,
We're
yeah.
gonna see if this
here we
works.
go.
Are you
Let's
ready?
do this.
Do it. Doesn't work.
I can hear it.
I can't hear it. I don't.
I know you don't have headphones on.
It appears
hear
that
it.
it's coming out.
Junk. Doesn't
Station ID. The
The
comic,
comic
shop.
shop.
work. 112 East Bridge Street.
The
Is that right?
The comic shop.
I got it right.
It's just like really, really zoned out Budweiser frogs. The comic shop.
All right.
Are you gonna play the spooky comic book selections, or do you not have that one loaded?
I don't have any other bumpers other than that.
Oh,
Did you
for
send
real?
me? Did you send
I
me
thought
more?
I did.
I don't
thought
think you sent me
but
anything.
we'll do it analog, not analog or like super lo-fi. Let's see, is this the right one? I hope this is the right one. Oh,
Oh,
that's
it's the
not
same one.
That's not the one. It's this one.
What the?
Spooky comic book selections.
It's really, really,
We'll load that on the computer for next week.
a really, really long bumper there.
Let's talk about Winnebago Graveyard.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So,
Oh, let me switch over to
yeah,
the
let's get the doc cam on there. Let's see.
Come
if we,
on,
let's
let's
see if
be
we can't
professionals
get.
here.
Hey, oh, I can see so much more. Look at that. Okay, so Winnebago Graveyard is a graphic novel by, I think it's Steve Niles and Allison Sampson, and I liked this from the moment I saw it. I think I found it at like Barnes and Noble in Rochester, and I just like loved the whole concept, the artwork, the story.
You were
but
shopping at a local comic book store? You were shopping at a Barnes and Nobles?
This is years ago. I think this came out in 2017. Is when I
Just
got it.
kidding. I've seen
But,
you. We've ran into each other at Barnes and Nobles.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
That's a true
I
story.
shopped there too.
But I mean, the Rochester one is really good. The local ones around here, like the one in Clay, is okay.
It's
the one in
alright,
JD is a little
yeah.
bit better. But yeah, the
They
one
have a really small selection actually. The Clay one, like
Yeah.
it's like a
it's
shelf.
just two shelves,
Two shelves.
back to back, and then you look at the manga.
Oh
not-
my god, it's like a freaking library of manga.
Yeah, and
Which listen, I like manga, so no hate to that, but
right,
I'm
but
like, come on, I want my graphic novels here. What are you doing?
right, and I'm coming around to manga more and more
Me
to some,
too, yeah.
to some different things, but
Mhm.
but like there's so much more graphic novels, and man, yeah, they gotta figure it out. But anywho, I'm part of this cartoonist kayfabe ringside seats group on Facebook,
Yes.
and every once in a while, like a negative post gets tweaked into there. And
Don't like that.
And and somebody's like, "What book could you absolutely not finish because the artwork was terrible?" And and I click on it because it's a new thing, even though I shouldn't. And I'm looking through it, and people are talking about books, and I didn't really see anything that was too egregious until I saw somebody wrote Winnebago Graveyard. Like, usually I can deal with the rough art if it's a horror book, but I just couldn't finish it. And I was like, rough art? Are we looking at the same book here?
Yeah.
Like, look at these compositions. These things are beautiful. Look at those colors.
You got your warm colors and then your cool colors.
Very good, Lucas.
You're
Look at
learning.
that.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
But like such strong composition, and like this is when I first found out about Allison Sampson's illustration. She's since gone on to do Hit Girl in India and
Okay.
Sleeping Beauties. She did the adaptation of that's a Stephen King and a Joe Hill book, right? Or
What is it?
Sleeping Beauties. It was a collaboration between maybe Stephen King and Owen King. I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
But I bought all of them. I have them at home. But so basically, it's a family going on a vacation, and they get wrapped up in a
Cult?
satanic panic kind of cult where people are being sacrificed to resurrect evil people from their cult.
I just want to point out something real quick
Yeah.
here. That looks like an alligator.
Yeah,
It very much does.
Yeah, I don't. Is that supposed to be a cloud?
yeah. I think it's supposed to be a cloud, but I mean, this almost looks like a hippo too, doesn't it?
Oh my God, it does.
Right?
Is there is that
No,
correlate to
there's
the story? Or
no,
what's
not
up?
really. Ooh, that's quite violent.
That's a
Let's see
little
if we- Oh, hey.
Seven.
Oh.
Wait, go back. No.
So here's the family, and the son is on his phone, kind of like a dysfunctional family trying to make some family time and do some family bonding. Oh, hey,
Whoa.
watch out!
They-o.
But
Trying to keep this PG.
yeah, I know, right? Like there's great shots here too of just the storytelling, and they park their Winnebago someplace because that's their RV. Like this page, I love this page.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice splash page.
Like foreground, middle ground, background. Come on. As an art teacher,
Can't
I
get
love
better
that.
than that.
And just kind of like going to this weird small town.
It does. There's not a lot of panels on each page.
No,
There's like, I mean, that's only 5.
I don't want to give away too much of this, but there is an
A
awesome
lot
thing.
of splash pages too. I
Yeah.
mean, look at that.
Like
They're
visual.
not too much dialogue either. That I haven't noticed.
They do a lot of the heavy lifting with the
visual
visuals.
storytelling?
Yes.
Which I'm going to take it right back to Evil Dead 2. There was not much dialogue in
Oh,
that
right,
movie.
yeah.
It's very heavy visual-wise
Right.
with all of that expressive acting and expressive camera work.
And I think it works.
yeah,
well.
show don't tell, right?
Yep.
But yeah, so like there's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here. Like I don't want to give it away, but I really like Steve Niles as a horror
What
author.
else has he done?
He's done October Faction.
Oh, that's
Which is actually got turned into a Netflix series. The
Yeah.
Netflix series is pretty good. I watched it.
yeah.
Great artwork. in
Again,
this one, too.
another from the comics to TV, similar to Something's Killing the Children and Invincible, Walking Dead, Why the Last Man. Like comics
Soon
make
to
a
be
great
paper girls too.
paper. It's just
Oh, yeah.
comics are a great medium for just trying. Is this a viable product? Is this a
Right.
property that people want to see?
It's almost like a proof of concept, really.
Yes.
100%.
I mean, if you look at like Mark Miller, I mean that he makes comics to make movies, pretty much.
100. Which yeah.
Which is not, that
Well-
like most comic book creators do not do that.
Well, tell a good
would say-
story first, and then, if he already sold his studio to
Netflix,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Netflix.
yeah. So
Miller
essentially
World or
he is.
something.
Yeah, essentially that's what
So
he's
yeah,
doing.
I think
Like-
he's like the only one that really does that. The other most.
So what's October Faction?
So it's about a family that is kind of similar to Something's Killing the Children. There's an organization that manages the killing of supernatural creatures. And the mom and dad of this family are like super well known. They're like the cream of the crop of this organization. And we find out that well, I don't want to give away too much, but there's some intrigue with their family where some things are revealed and the dynamic changes as they deal with some.
Is this a live action show on Netflix?
Yeah, it's live action.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, they really didn't promote it. The only
Is that-
reason I knew
Is it
about it
good? Is it?
I thought it was pretty good as far as Netflix shows go. It's got the horror in there. It's got the family
I mean,
dynamic.
would much rather read this than watch the show.
Yeah, the artwork in this is fantastic too. I love this. It's kind of like a more realistic Ben Templesmith, because Ben Templesmith did 30 Days a Night with Steve Niles, which became the movie 30 Days a Night.
Actually, that's what I just went to go look for, and I didn't see it out
We
there.
don't have that out there.
Martin moved
I've
around
heard-
some of the
I've
horror
heard a
books,
lot
and we
about
have
that.
had it.
I think I've bought every single one from the shop over the years. But 30 Days of Night, a great ingenious concept of vampires going to, I think, Anchorage, Alaska, where they have an entire month in darkness.
Yes.
Oh,
So the vampires never.
I think you were telling me about this some time ago.
So they don't have to worry about the sun at all.
I really have to buy some horror trade paperbacks for Halloween.
Yeah, I love Steve Niles. He's my go-to horror writer
Is that right? Wow.
in comics. He's done another book too, which I actually don't have. I'm gonna have you guys order it for me if you can get it.
Yeah.
It's called Freaks of the Heartland. Have you ever heard of this book?
I know the name, but I don't know.
It's beautifully
I don't know.
illustrated. It's like one of the best looking comic books maybe I've ever seen. It's two brothers. Like one is like a freakishly large, like Frankenstein type character, and then like another brother who just like tries to protect him and tries to keep bad things from happening to him.
It kind of reminds me of the dynamic of Mice and Men.
Yes, very similar.
Right,
Very
yeah,
similar.
yeah.
Except with like more horror tropes.
Sure,
and such.
sure, yeah.
And the villagers with pitchforks and stuff. Not terribly original, but beautifully done.
Well, a lot of stories nowadays, I mean, some stories are original, but most are pulling from places. And
Oh yeah.
I think you're hard pressed to find an original concept at this point.
Yeah,
It's just
100%.
takes on those concepts.
which isn't,
No.
it's not a bad thing, like, I mean, especially if you look at like old folk tales and stuff, you can modernize it, which usually doesn't work, but
I mean, now the consideration is more legally, can I do this?
Right.
Yeah,
is this in the public domain?
right. And if it
this-
is, then you can put your own twist on it, or,
Yeah.
Which works a lot of the times.
That's something I have like a long-term project of doing, like horror stories and like local ghost stories of like Oswego and the surrounding area, and doing that either as like a picture book or
That'd be
maybe like a legend graphic novel.
That would be awesome.
That's like maybe at this point that's maybe like a 10-year plan kind of
Yeah.
thing, because I think that would have to be painted. That would have to be watercolor, I think. And I know you love watercolor, so that's why I brought it up.
Watercolor. We've established that. Love watercolor.
Hey, what's going on in the world of Inktober?
Inktober.
Oh, we got some wild stuff going on in Inktober. And by wild, I mean I was doing 2 challenges at the same time and kind of fell off the wagon. But hey, so here's what we can do. I can show you guys the little time lapse of this Ash Williams.
Awesome. Let's see it.
This coloring process here, bringing in the picture of it, dropping in some color flats, doing some different shading. I was doing this in fresco, so I was playing around with some other watercolor stuff. Sometimes I get distracted by the fun tools that don't necessarily look the best. Trying a little bit of blood on there. I have that version still, but I was like, let's clean it up for all modern audiences here. But he's got his chainsaw arm. Added in that color, added in some texture in the background. It was fun. I think maybe like if we ever do put this up on YouTube, we could use that as maybe part of the cover. We could like take him out and then like put us next to it or something.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about that today, like what we can do
some
for
sort of thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Oh, decorations. But
Yeah,
there's
a photo.
there's a close up. Oh yeah, I'm doing. Well, this isn't Inktober, but we're working
like
on
how-
drawing hands eventually with my art classes.
I like how the aperture is probably pretty low.
Yeah, isn't that wild? I did that on my phone.
That is crazy.
That phones can do that now.
Yeah, that is
Really?
That is crazy. And I took an intro to photography class, which was super interesting and has helped me out with a lot of my projects. And yeah, like whenever I look at a photo now, I'm like, oh yeah, the shutter speed was
Yeah.
too low, too high. The
Yeah.
exposure's off. It's too high.
Oh
So,
man, I took a photography
curves.
class basically with the lowest camera you could get. They had manual settings, like a digital camera.
mhm.
I mean, I was still able to do cool stuff with lighting, but it was like going off to war with like a fork and being like, okay, now fight the enemy.
That's
And
a
it's
good
and
analogy.
it's
I
like
like
they, it's like they have cannons. What am I gonna do with this fork? And they're like, you're gonna have to get creative. And it's like, okay. But
That's funny.
But, I did get creative with the fork. Like I just did lots of interesting lighting stuff. Like at the time,
Right.
there's tons of neon lights at Big Lots for whatever reason. So I just like lit everything super unnaturally, and just tried to get clear pictures. But then eventually I got a DSLR. But then now cameras have outclassed DSLR. I mean, they're not necessarily better, but
You mean phones have outclassed?
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, yeah.
I like digital cameras still. Just
Yeah, me
'cause
too.
you really can get into the settings. Like I'm sure you can on the phone, but it's not going to be as good.
But the thing with the phone though, because a lot of the times I'm just doing stuff for reference,
Right, sure.
and it's in my pocket all the time.
So yeah,
And
it
and
makes more sense.
I mean, I do love a
you
good
don't need
fixed
like
lens.
an amazing photo. You're just doing a reference,
Yeah.
to draw something. But I do
Yeah.
love photography.
Let's see what else is going on with the old Inktober. I think I did a bunch of stuff. I still have to post some stuff. Oh yeah, I did John Carpenter.
Oh yeah, yep.
I'm so behind. I did a bunch ahead, and now I'm just like in limbo again. There's like the Ben Cooper. I don't know if I talked about this one, but it's I put.
Do you know what Ben Cooper is?
Tell me about it.
It's
It rings a bell.
it's
but I can't
it's like a classic Halloween costume of like 70s or maybe 80s.
I don't know
maybe
about that.
even earlier than that too.
Earlier than that.
Maybe 70s. Did you
That's-
say
I
70s?
did say 70s because I
think
feel
you're right.
like there was like a lot of like iconic Star Wars like late 70s.
Is
that
it
were-
like a brand?
it was
or-
just a brand of Ben
Oh,
Cooper with
okay.
a
very
costume.
cheap, like plastic kind of ponchos with a cheap plastic mask.
They just
but-
had a very unique look that defined Halloween for like a number of years.
Really?
That like
Yeah.
That's funny.
if you went, I'm sure if you went to a third grade class in 1978, everybody would 20 of the 30 students would be wearing a Ben Cooper
Sure, sure.
same generic looking. All the characters were the same, not the same. All the characters were the characters, but like the plastic hoodie type thing that would come with it. It was a very stylized thing for a particular period of time that like
That's
Yeah.
funny.
defined Halloween as a kid.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
It was an inexpensive way for kids to take part in the pop culture they liked. I think. And
Yeah.
I think that was I think that's what
Because
made
they
it
weren't
popular.
$200 masks. They
Sure,
they were
sure.
the ones that everybody could afford.
Right.
Yeah. And so that was pretty widespread. But I did an inspiration of that
That's awesome. I like
with
that a lot.
with some of my own characters. Like I've got Creep of the Crop,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Wesley one, LT Provolone, and just an anchovy.
Just an anchovy.
Just an anchovy
Sweet.
from Pizza's Pizza, because that's a good one to stop on, because I can shill my product. My Wesley the Robots number 1 through 8 available at the Oswego Comic Shop, 112 East Bridge Street, the comic
Comic
shop.
shop.
We're not at the shilling. We're not at the shilling part yet.
Well, I can
The what?
I can always be shilling though. Ooh, Creep of the Crop.
Say no to plugs.
Creep of the
Ooh,
crop,
ooh.
crop the creeps.
I spamming hard or hardly spamming?
Crop-tacular crop show.
Yeah, Creep of the
Jeez.
Crop and the Crop of Creeps, Crop-tacular Crop Show. I was afraid that I would get this out, and then somebody would come up with a title that was derivative of my original title. So I was like, you know what? Let's do all the titles.
Let's do
I'd be
all
like,
of
look, I did all the titles, and you took one of mine. So I did it first because it's all there. And who knows? Somebody has maybe done it before that too. But 30 pages of terror, 3 stories featuring the Creep of the Crop. This guy who just creeps around in some corn. Creep of the
them.
Corn.
Creepy.
Even used the old EC Horror Comics font in there, which is pretty cool. And these are just Inktober stories. Like I told short stories in the months of Inktober, tying the prompts together to do various stories. Ooh, this one is Don't You Dare Touch Daddy's Dollies, which
Oh, that's creepy.
which just evolved out of just that phrase. Like it just feels like a 60s horror movie, like a 60s no budget horror movie, where like there is no plot essentially, and it's just like Vincent Price like playing with dolls,
Right,
in
yeah,
an old
sure, sure.
Victorian house.
Lucas, what did Cecilia say?
She said, Michael and I own a vintage Batman cape and patch from Halloween, and I think it was 60s, 70s. I don't know. I'm not a comic genius.
Well, luckily we are. No, I'm just kidding. We're not really.
That's cool, though.
Absolutely.
My
those are
dad, he was huge into Batman, when he was growing up, and
Yeah.
he showed me this old picture of him. He had like a grappling hook. And I guess he would try to throw it on the roof and try to climb up the wall like Batman. He
Does
wasn't too brave back then. But
I was going to say, does your dad read comics? But you brought in some of your comics
No.
that your dad had, though.
it wasn't my dad. I don't know.
Oh,
My
okay.
brother had them. I don't know why. He got them from somewhere. My brother. And my mom was like, "Yeah, we have these old comics." And I'm like, "Oh, bring it to the shop."
So your dad's not into comics then?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right,
He
just
likes
curious.
I don't know if he was when he was younger. I don't think he was. He liked like the Batman TV show, like the Adam
Yeah.
West one, and the movies that came out, the Superman, the '78 one.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, was your parents into comics at all?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Me neither. My dad bought me a Star Trek comic. That was my first comic because I was
Yeah.
homesick. But that was more because I think he was a Star Trek fan
Sure.
and just went out to get like Lucas, back in the 80s and 90s before you were born, we didn't have health care. So if you were a sick child, you would get a ginger ale and a saltine cracker.
Yes.
And occasionally you would get apparently a comic book, and that was my first comic book. I
And
was
we
at
were
home
happy to
sick
get
in
those
second
things.
grade. Yes.
I bet. But it helped your health.
I have no idea. Probably when I'm dying. Aaron, Ultra Mega's coming out this week. Have you looked at Ultra Mega?
I think I bought all the individual ones, but criminally, I still have not read them. I did read Jenny Zero, which was very similar.
Both kaiju. Yeah, that's very I didn't think that was a
Yeah,
thing.
it's huge.
It's a huge thing.
It is huge.
Yeah, I really like Jenny Zero. I always have to be this guy a little bit, right? Where it's like, hey, this is the book that everybody loves, and it's like, but have you read this other book? Like, this one is good, but have you read this other one?
I don't know if we have a Jenny Zero trade, so this is what we're going with
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
Ultra
yeah,
Mega.
I know.
Ultra Mega comes out
But
tomorrow.
like visually stunning. Like look at
I flipped through it and I was
like look at
blown
this
away.
cool layout.
It's awesome.
It just everything about it feels super cinematic. It's got that big chunky ink art style, which I like.
A lot of panels.
Yeah,
a
fair amount of
A lot
panels.
of text too.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he's starting to break things
Ooh,
up a
that's
little
a
bit.
cool splash
Some
page
double
right
page
there.
splashes. This guy's like a kaiju protector kind of guy. Just lots of fun action. Like this isn't Daniel Warren Johnson, it's James Herron, but I feel like there's a kinship between them.
I screwed this up the other day because I was talking to a customer about one of them, and I started to reference the other, Daniel Warren Johnson, and I'm sorry, who's this again?
This is James Herron.
James Herron. They're both relatively newer artists to me. Maybe not, but they've only come on my radar in the past few years.
Sure,
and I
sure.
feel like they do have. If you put them side by side, they're obviously different.
Yes.
Right.
But I feel like they come from the same school, the same like influences and things like that. So I was mixing up the two when the customer called me on it. And I was like, oh damn, you're right. Like now I look dumb.
Very East meets West. Like some of the character design is very Western comics, but then a lot of the action and stuff uses a lot of speed lines, a lot of poses and dynamics from manga, I think.
Do you know what speed lines are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
I just like to ask if you know certain things.
I do.
He's a manga guy. He's got to know.
Oh, that's
I-
right. He's a One Punch Man, man.
I like One Punch. That's the only manga I really read.
Yeah, the fights in these look pretty epic. I should read these before I get Wesley 9 done, because there's going to be some pretty big fights in Wesley number 9, and I want to make sure they're pretty dynamic. Who knows when Wesley 9's coming
Wow.
out? Probably 2 years.
2 years. No. You
But,
get it done.
fun monster design.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's see.
everybody, come on down to the comic shop and get your copy of Ultra Mega. Look at this spot gloss on this cover. It's all shiny.
Beautiful.
Colors by Dave Stewart. Is there a better colorist in comics than Dave Stewart?
Probably
Is there any
not.
other colorist in comics next to Dave Stewart? He colors everything, and he has different style. He's great. I love him.
Yeah, if you want to break into comics as a colorist, don't bother, because Dave Stewart already has the job.
Pretty much.
Or just color your own comics. Or hey, if you want to do it for free, you can color my comics. You can be my intern. Just kidding. I don't have interns. But anywho, yeah, Army of
We
Darkness.
can loan you Lucas.
I am the comic shop intern. So
It's so hard to find tasks for people to do, though. I could probably figure it out.
Martin seems to be able to find jobs left and right for me to do. I'll tell you what. He does not have that problem.
Whenever I've had interns, it always seems like it's more work for me to figure out things for them to do. Or I have to do so much work to prepare the work for them to do. That
Yes.
It's almost like
Yeah.
I hand off the easy part to them, and I'm like, well, you get to do the fun part now. Now that I did the hard part. But yeah, that's another lifetime. But we've got this Army of Darkness 1979 thing going on here. Are these covers by Arthur Sweetum?
I don't know. I just got them today. They go on sale tomorrow.
I think this one is. Famed Marvel Zombies cover artist,
It looks like him.
as well as other things. Rodney Barnes. Oh, he wrote Philadelphia.
Yes.
Oh.
Philadelphia guy. Okay. See, I didn't know much about these, because a lot of these Ash versus Evil Dead or Army of Darkness stuff just sometimes feel like very fly by night to me. Like I don't know the creators. You know what I mean? As can happen with licensed product from time to time.
Yeah, definitely.
But they've got Rodney Barnes on the writing duties. He's got some chops. But this looks like fun.
Yeah, I was thinking about picking that up. I know we have the first issue still in stock, right?
We have.
I believe we do.
I believe we do as well.
Pretty sure I saw it.
There's I think I found in the dollar bin an old Danger Girls and an Ash versus Army of Darkness crossover, and I just flipped through
Army
that.
of Darkness, Danger Girl.
I think so.
Wow.
They did a comic with Freddy Krueger Jason Voorhees and Ash.
Yes, I'm familiar with that
Ooh,
one.
that sounds like it could be
Danger
interesting.
Girl and Army of Darkness.
It was. I mean, it was very camp, but it was.
Sure.
It was entertaining. It was fun. But yeah, talking about Evil Dead, Army of Darkness is the continuation,
Which
where
I ended up watching too.
Yeah.
Actually, I watched that as well.
the originally titled Medieval Dead.
Which I love that title way more.
I think they went with a different title to get new audiences
Maybe.
in, so that they didn't feel like it was connected to two other movies that if you didn't see it wouldn't make sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Which
I
is
think
totally
Medieval
how I
Dead,
got into
though.
it.
You're right. That's
It's
such
just,
a stronger
it makes,
title.
It makes so much more sense.
Yes,
And Army of
continuity.
Darkness is such a I mean, you don't really need to see the other films to enjoy
Nope.
it. Because it's one where it's just entertaining, too. It's just like Evil Dead.
Yeah.
You know, it's not... I wouldn't say it's necessarily art. You know, I would say it's more entertainment. I think there's a difference between entertainment and art, where,
Well,
you know, something's just trying to entertain you for a couple hours. and
Pop
there's-
art.
There's something that's just trying to, you know, that's trying to make you think and, you know,
sometimes
leave
that,
a mark
I don't
on
know. I
you.
kind of want to argue you on this point, but I know what you're saying.
Sure.
So you're wrong, I guess.
Like,
That's it.
like the Transformers movies.
Oh,
They're not art.
no,
They're
they're
just
saying they're
They're not
entertainment.
even. Are they even entertainment?
Michael Bay is an artist.
Is he?
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I think I watched like the third one in theaters, and it was just like you ever watch a movie and there's so much going on that you just totally
Can't even
tune-
like process
totally
it.
tune out. I fell asleep in the third act of that because it's just like there's metal
Yeah.
flying around in the air. It's like
That's all it is.
it's like a hot air balloon full of little aluminum papers just exploded and it's just flying everywhere, and it's just like what am I looking at?
Yeah.
It's no 1986 Transformers movie, that's for sure.
No. All right, we're gonna play one more bumper, and then we're gonna plug some stuff and wrap things up.
Okay, let's do it.
Lost in space and time for over 10,000 years,
Just,
on a mission they were never meant to return from.
no, it's awesome.
They have returned from the horrible secrets of space.
Right.
They are the comic shop.
There is 100%.
Well, I think also when you like glorify like capital A like fine art type stuff, sometimes that stuff's really lacking in substance too, because it's just what new shocking thing can I do? And now I'm
No,
in
I
history
agree.
books,
I
you
agree,
know.
yeah.
So it's just a different arm of the same beast.
Yeah, I suppose. And maybe it's different. I think for movies, I think there's art films and then there's just movies that just want to entertain you.
Popcorn films.
That, yeah, right. Blockbusters. I mean, some blockbusters are amazing and, you know, they do have an important message and you know, what have you. But
I can't wait for the next episode when you tell us what's art and what's not art. We're gonna bring up a variety of
God.
things, and you will judge.
that would be fun.
Actually, there's a Twitter account that does that, art or not art. And sometimes when people post funny tweets, you call
Yeah.
him the art or not art, and he tells you if it's art or not art.
we should do that.
We got to put together PowerPoint slides and project them into a thing here.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. And I will let you know if I think it's art or not.
That's our next step. Do we have? Are we thinking we're going to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre for next week?
I think
or a different
Halloween.
one? Halloween for next week.
So that is one of the things I have here on my list. What are we watching next week? And Lucas thought Halloween,
Because the
just
new
because
movie's coming out.
The original.
the original, because the new movie's coming out. This
I'll
week.
probably see the new movie so I can give a quick review on that too.
Is that coming out next week?
this week?
This week.
Yeah.
I got to see the new one as well.
Yes.
The other new one.
Right.
The 2018 new one.
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna watch that, and then I'll probably watch all three. I'll probably watch the original, the 2018 one, and then the new one, and then I'll talk about the new one and let you know if you should see it or not. And I'll let you know if it's art or just entertainment.
I'm just going to say that the comic shop, we're still facing, in my washed out screen here, tons of shipping delays with all sorts of product. We just got an announcement that Magic cards, the new set, we're going to have cards that are delayed in that. There are printer shortages, there's shipping issues, so bear with us for the next few weeks. I think you hear it in the news all the time. If you want to buy your Christmas presents, do it now, because the shipping and distribution of the everything all over the world is all messed up. So bear with us if we can't get you certain books or comics, but we are trying.
It's all your fault.
Sorry. Lucas, what do you have
all
to
your
what do you have to plug, Lucas? Do you want to plug Lowe's?
Lowe's. Shop at Lowe's. I will be working there tomorrow night, 5:30 to 9:30, and then it's probably this. Well, I work sometime this week. I just don't know exactly.
Go to
when.
Lowe's, demand Lucas's help, and then tip him heavily.
Yes, please tip me. I don't think I'm allowed to accept tips,
I'm
but
not knowing Lowe's at all. I'm sure you're not allowed to accept
Wh-
tips.
what
you're,
happens?
you're
Just,
definitely not.
just throw money at him, and then he'll be obliged to clean up the aisle that he's in because he's an employee of Lowe's, and it just so happens that
It's a $50 bill.
Yeah, if you drop cash on the floor and kick it in his direction and walk away, hey, I mean, he's just doing what he is doing to keep the store tidy.
if you
that's
see
all.
it on the ground, pick it up. I see those signs on the inside of the bathrooms in every store, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Aaron, what do you got to plug?
What do you?
I'm plugging all the time. Every day I'm plugging. So Creep of the Crop,
Creep of
Crop
the
of
Crop.
Creeps, Creep Show issues number 1 through 8
It's a
of
tongue twister, I'll
yeah.
tell
This
you what.
this thing's only $5. Come on, man. Printed locally at the Port City Copy Center. Printed beautifully.
It is gorgeous.
Spooky, nice and spooky.
Very spooky.
We've also got Wesley the Robot issues 1 through 8, which is kind of like my magnum opus so far. Wesley the Robot comes to life out of the soundboard at a college radio station, and hijinks ensue. There's heists, there's coffee, there's bees, there's all kinds of wild stuff. There's a girl punk band. There's lots of fun stuff in there, and music interviews in the back with bands such as Interpol, Ipso Facto, The Faint, Fantagram, and more. And also, I have a complete graphic novel called Pizza's Pizza, Son of a Pizza Man, the human son of a living pizza, has to fight evil anchovies in the Northeast.
Wow.
And it's all complete, $10.
That was also licensed by Netflix, correct?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, come Netflix if you're out there. Hulu, Crackle if you're out there.
Bottom of the barrel.
I would
Let's
do
go.
let's do a Crackle deal. The Crackle Barrel.
The Crackle Barrel.
Ayo.
That's a good joke. Just got that.
Did you?
All right, should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
Lucas, take us home.
No, you take us home.
Thanks for listening. This is the Comic Shop Does Something's a podcast. Thank you for sticking with us through our technical difficulties. We will have new and different technical difficulties for you next week. I am
Yeah.
Evan Coy.
Guaranteed.
I am Evan Coy,
I'm Aaron Z. Lee.
I'm Lucas Brewer.
and we are the Comic Shop. Have a good night, everyone.
God bless.
Godspeed.